Hello, my name is Becky, and I'm going to now talk through the Safeguarding Children's policy at Inclusion North. This policy was updated in December 2021, and the next update will be December 2022. Introduction. This policy is about keeping children safe. This means everyone under the age of 18. We have different policy about keeping adults safe. This policy is for everyone who works with us. This means staff, volunteers, people who are self-employed, and people who are doing work for us. Everyone needs to know what this policy says and to understand what it means. This includes the directors and the advisory council. The people who lead on safeguarding at Inclusion North are the Chief Executive and Jane Wood, one of our directors. Their contact details are at the end of this policy. What is safeguarding? Safeguarding children means stopping children being abused or treated badly. Making sure there is no harm to a child's health or development. Making sure children grow up safe and they get good care. Doing what is needed to make sure children can achieve their full potential. What is abuse? Abuse is when someone hurts or treats a child badly. Abuse can be something someone does to a child, or it can be something that they fail to do, like not taking the child to health appointments. There are different types of abuse. Physical abuse. This is when someone does things on purpose that hurt or injure a child. For example, hitting, kicking, shaking, throwing, poisoning, burning, and suffocating. It can also be when an adult makes up an illness and tells people the child is unwell and tries to get treatment for them, or when an adult does things to a child that makes them seem unwell. Sexual abuse. This is someone getting a child to take part in sexual activity. They might use force, but not always. The child may or may not understand what is happening. The abuse might involve touching, or it might be a child being made to watch sexual activity, either in person or online. Emotional abuse. This type of abuse affects a child's mental well-being and how they feel. It includes things like shouting at them, calling them names, and not letting them have friends. It might also be ignoring them, not showing them any love, and not giving them any praise. It can include things like putting pressure on them and expecting too much. Neglect. This is when a child's needs are not met. It might be not getting enough food or the right clothes. It might be a child not being looked after well enough, so they have accidents and hurt themselves. It might be not taking a child to health appointments or not making sure that they go to school. Child sexual exploitation. This is a type of sexual abuse. It is when a child ends up in a relationship where they trust a person but they are being taken advantage of. They might be given gifts or shown love or affection at the beginning. They might be given drugs or alcohol. Once the abuser has the child's trust, they then sexually abuse them. But the child can think it is a loving relationship and not realise that they are being abused. This can happen in person or online. Female genital mutilation. This is when a girl is having an operation that cuts her vagina without there being any medical reasons to do the operation. It is a criminal offence and it must be reported. Harmful sexual behaviour. This is when a child is behaving in an inappropriate sexual way with another child or adult. It is harmful to the child who is behaving this way. It is also harmful to the child or adult that they are doing it to. Domestic abuse. This is abuse between adults who are in a relationship with each other or have been in a relationship. It can be any kind of abuse. It might include violence, threatening behaviour, or being controlling. When children see or hear domestic abuse happening, this is child abuse because they can be harmed by seeing or knowing that it is happening. Bullying and online bullying. This is also known as cyberbullying. This is when an individual or group pick on a child that they think is vulnerable. The bullies might try to hurt them, to make them feel bad, to scare them, or to force them to do something. This can happen in person or online. Child trafficking. This is when children are found by abusers and then forced or tricked to leave where they live. They are taken to a different place and then taken advantage of. Children can be brought into the UK from other countries. Children can also be moved around the country away from their homes. Abusers often use physical or sexual abuse to control the children, and they are often neglected. Next, I'm going to talk about who might be at risk of abuse. Abuse can happen to any child, but research shows that some groups of children are more at risk of abuse. They are children who see or hear domestic abuse, children whose parents or carers have mental health problems, deaf or disabled children, children whose parents or carers have problems with alcohol or drugs, children who are looked after by the local authority. When we think about safeguarding children, this means the children that we work with, the children of the adults who we work with. Who might children be abused by? Anyone might abuse a child. This includes men and women. It includes adults and other children. It might be a family member. It might be friends. It might be people working or volunteering in organisations that work with the child or the family. It might be people they know. It might be strangers. Abuse can happen anywhere, including online. What we believe about keeping children safe. No child should ever experience any kind of abuse. It is part of our job to help to make sure children reach their full potential, to keep children safe, and to work in ways that protect them from abuse. We believe that keeping children safe is the most important thing to think about when we do our work and make decisions. All children have the right to live a life free from abuse. Some children are more at risk of abuse than others. The best way to keep children safe is to work together with children, their families, and other organisations. How keeping children safe at Inclusion North. To help to stop abuse happening at Inclusion North, we will do these things. We will value children, we will listen to them and respect them. We will tell children and their families about safeguarding and what we do to help stop abuse. We will make sure children and families know where to go for help and support if they are worried. We will have a safeguarding lead and a director who leads on safeguarding. Their contact details are at the end of this policy. We will keep our safeguarding children's policy up to date. We will make sure our staff and volunteers understand it. We will also have a code of conduct that explains how we will behave. This will show that any violence, abuse, or discrimination will be dealt with immediately. We will take care when we recruit staff and volunteers. We will make sure we do all the background checks. We will have a trial period for all staff and volunteers to help us to decide if the people we recruit are right for the role. All staff and volunteers will do safeguarding training at least every 3 years. We will keep a record of all of the safeguarding children concerns we have and look to see if there are any patterns or concerns. We will do risk assessments for our work and think about safeguarding children as part of that. All staff will have regular one-to-one meetings with their manager where they can talk about their work and any concerns that they have. We will store all our records safely and confidentially. We have a complaints procedure and whistleblowing policy for people to share any worries they have about other people at Inclusion North. So what Inclusion North will do if we are worried that a child is being abused or neglected. If you have any worries that a child might be being abused or neglected, you must speak up about it. It can be scary to speak up. You might worry that you are wrong. You might worry about upsetting people. This is normal. But speaking up about your worries is always the right thing to do. Start by writing down what you are worried about. Focus on the facts. What have you seen or heard to make you worried? Next, you need to talk to your manager, the chief executive, or the lead director for safeguarding as soon as possible. All information about any worries you have about safeguarding children is confidential. This means you must not talk to anyone about it except for your manager, Inclusion North chief executive, or the lead director for safeguarding. The chief executive or lead director for safeguarding will listen to your worries. They will then decide what needs to happen next. They will involve you in this decision. Every local authority area has a local safeguarding children's board. They help organisations to work together to keep children safe. We will work with the local safeguarding children's board in the area where the child lives. The chief executive or lead director for safeguarding might decide that we need to send in a child protection referral. If we decide to do that, we will tell the child's family what we are doing, unless this would put the child at more risk. If the child is old enough and able to understand, we will also tell them what we are doing. We will keep notes about what we decide to do and why we decide that. If a child tells you they are being abused, these are some things you should remember. Believe the child and tell them they have done the right thing telling you about it. Let them tell you as much as they want to. Don't ask leading questions. These are questions that might guess what is happening. Try to write down as much as you can about what they have said to you. Tell the child you have to pass on what they have told you to a manager. Contact your manager, the chief executive, or the lead director for safeguarding as soon as you can and tell them what you have been told. If you are not sure if a child is being abused, but you feel worried, you have to tell the chief executive or lead director for safeguarding as soon as possible. If you feel that a child is in danger right now, this is what you have to do. Think about what you can do to make them safe. This might mean calling the police on 999. Look at the local Safeguarding Children Board website for the local area the child lives in. Find out how to make a child protection referral and do that. If you need help to do this, contact your manager, the chief executive, or the lead director for safeguarding. Write down what has happened talk to the Chief Executive or Lead Director for Safeguarding, and they will support you. So what will happen next? If we decide to make a child protection referral, the team in the local authority who deal with it will decide what to do next. They might decide they need to act straight away to protect the child. They might arrange for them to stay somewhere else for a bit. They might start an assessment. They have 45 days to complete the assessment. They might decide to refer the child and their family to a different organisation who could help them more. The Chief Executive or Lead Director for Safeguarding will stay up to date with what is happening. They will share this information with you unless they are asked not to. We will decide as an organisation how we carry on working with the child or their family while all of this is happening. I'm now going to talk about care, education and treatment reviews. Inclusion North employs expert advisors to attend care, education and treatment reviews, also known as CETR. If an expert advisor has a concern about a child during a CETR, they will raise it during the meeting. If the expert advisor had a safeguarding concern after the CETR had finished, they should inform Inclusion North as soon as possible. You can contact anyone in the Hub team about this. If you can't get in contact with any of them, you should contact the Chief Executive or the Lead Director for Safeguarding. All the contact details are at the end of this video. We will contact the CETR chairperson and or the independent clinical advisor. The CETR chairperson might make a safeguarding referral to the local authority where the child is living. The CETR chairperson might not do anything. In that case, the expert can ask Inclusion North to raise a safeguarding concern with the local Safeguarding Children's Board. Your concern might not be about abuse or neglect, it might be about poor quality care instead. Your manager will talk to you about what we can do about that. We might contact the managers at the place where the child lives. We might report it to the Commissioner. We might report it to the Care Quality Commission or Ofsted. Some top tips. I'm going to read out a list of some things to do and not to do if a child tells you that they are being abused. Some things you can do. Stay calm and don't show you are shocked. Listen carefully and try to write down exactly what someone says. Tell them they were right to tell you. Tell them that you will take it seriously. Tell them that you have to pass on the information. Some things not to do are: don't stop them from talking to you or interrupt them. Don't make promises to keep it a secret. Don't contact the person who may be abusing them. Don't try to investigate or find out more. Don't ask questions, just let them tell you what is happening. Don't tell anyone else except your manager, the Chief Executive or the Lead Director for Safeguarding. The contact details will come on the screen next. Please feel free to pause the video anytime to note them down or read them carefully. Thank you.